Hi friends, and welcome to the channel. My name is Brian Bear, and today I'm vamping. And I'm talking about what I don't know, which is what I talk about every video. But I want to be a little bit more specific about how easy it is to talk about what you don't know. And in that, you gain valuable insight into what seems to be stopping you. So stick around, and we're going to vamp. We're going to talk about the unknown. So today, I'm vamping. I am purposely not talking about a topic that has a relatable theme. The unknown, if you think about it, how can we talk about the unknown? This puzzles me. And if we were to really talk about the unknown, we would not talk at all. The unknown is the unknown, and it's left that way. To be truly unknown would be to leave it alone. But I find it intriguing that we can talk about it. We can discuss it. We can get the flow going. And that's what writer's block is all about. I've talked about writer's block before. If somebody were to give you a piece of paper and say, just express yourself, that makes people freeze up. But you don't realize that you can talk about that frozenness, right? You can talk about that feeling. You can talk about what is essentially an abstraction. And that allows you to continue. So it's that inner state that you can express. The inner state of being ignorant and not knowing. And then you explore that a little bit more, and you realize nothing's stopping you from expressing yourself. And the minute you talk about the unknown, you get to know it, you get to express yourself about it, the fear diminishes. Right? Musicians do this all the time. They, especially in jazz, you're just and a one and a two and then it's your turn and you go. There used to be a show on NPR that was hosted by a very famous jazz pianist called Marian McPartland, and she would have these guests on, and they would just sort of say, "Well, let's improvise on." They would be talking and they'd bring up a tune that they both knew, and they'd say, well, let's play together this tune, and the guest would kind of start, and then she would play along, and they'd go through various and sundry things on the spot. You know, they had the basic ideas, but they would let it go, and it would come out so cool. And afterwards, she would say stuff like, oh, that was interesting. I've never played it in that key before. Or, I never played it in that meter before. Or, that was a surprising way we did la 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 la. So, it was wonderful because she was not afraid to just go, right? What she didn't know how it was going to turn out didn't stop her from and a one and a two and a boo-da pa-dee-la, and then you just go. Right? And jazz musicians are so good at just making this neat sound under conditions that a lot of people would find extremely stressful. No preparation. Now, let me make it something very clear that a jazz pianist like that knows the basics left and right. And they practice the basics. They practice their scales every day. They know the language. They're very fluid in it. But still, when the rubber hits the road, there is a certain amount of allowance whereby you can surprise yourself, or it might not turn out so great, but there is no clasping or holding on, no petrification. The heart doesn't go up into the throat. Why? Because they trust their skills. And a good speaker trusts their speaking skills. And a good writer trusts their writing skills. That the expression about any inner condition allows you to talk about it. Well, what does that teach us about ourselves? It teaches us that the unknown is an important ingredient to being a human. And that running away from it, trying to prepare, trying to stockpile, trying to have everything you need before you start is a quasi-obstacle. It's not really an obstacle because you're still moving and breathing in time. You see? And so the universe is freely expressing through you. Let's put it that way. Even when you feel stuck, you can talk about being stuck, which the wheels keep turning. The wheels of expression keep turning. So when you're really down and you're really depressed, the secret, if there is one, is to close your eyes and feel the feeling. What does depression feel like? To put attention on the abstraction. Not the mind is also adding to it, but how do you put your attention on your feelings? Where do you feel the feeling? Usually in the form of butterflies, and it's really interesting that when the attention is brought to the feeling, it starts to loosen up. It is the sensation that I don't want the feeling. That seems to make it grow and stay longer. But just to sit with the feeling of the heart beating, the pulse racing, the sweaty palms, just feeling that sense of panic, noticing it as just a feeling, and then realizing, okay, this isn't hurting me. It's unpleasant, but it's really not hurting me, and it's not stopping me. I'm just afraid to feel the feeling. That's all the unknown is a fear of feeling the feeling. Isn't that weird? Feeling the feeling? Noticing the feeling? You know? And you're faced with uncertainty all the time. And the question is, how comfortable are you in the moment as life is happening? Most of us are uncomfortable in the body. You're not in the body. You're not condensed to the body. But this is the first place to go to free yourself from the constriction of being in a body, is to feel the home. How is the feeling inside? You can even say, if you ask, how does this feel? It's hard to express it. You can say it feels bad. Go back in, and then describe it in a physical sense. My heart is beating. My palms are sweaty. My stomach is tight. And so what you realize is that you're afraid of yourself. You are just like, I think it was FDR who said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And it's true. You don't want to feel, but you have to feel. You must feel. And you must learn to recognize the ultimate harmlessness of a feeling. And feelings are unknown. You can't teach a computer to feel. You can teach it if you type in ChatGPT to write you a love poem and to tell you how wonderful you are. You can hear the words, but they are empty and void of the abstraction called a feeling. I talked about this in a few videos earlier, that it's a platitude. A platitude is an empty word. And if you've been attracted to my videos, if you're a watcher, I hope that you are hearing my unknown. The thing I can't point to. But that might resonate in you, that you may feel calm and peace when you hear what I am saying. Whereas the words don't necessarily contain much. It's what's behind the words. Right? That's what I'm trying to point to, and that's what is essentially the unknown. But it's knowable because everything is an abstraction. Everything is you're constantly feeling. You're also constantly thinking. Most of us. But when you stop thinking and descend into feeling, you get even deeper into emotion. You get even deeper into depth and to eventually transcendence. But transcendence is getting over the fear of a feeling. Weird. So everything is this one great energy. It's always on in you, always flowing in you. It's what's called a basic instinct. It's primordial. It's a prompt. It's always there. And that's fundamentally where we live, from that unknown. I can describe it like a computer could describe a feeling. ChatGPT could probably describe a feeling. We all can. And that's what allows us to continue. If I can describe the unknown, then there is something about me that transcends the unknown. If I can talk about talking, that's a good one. Talking about talking. That's a weird loophole. I can also think about thinking, and I can be aware of being aware. There's a dimension to intelligence that we don't pick up on, and it's that extra ring. That's why the saints often are, I've said this before too, but it's why the saints are depicted with a halo. There's an extra knowledge, and you cannot get there logically. You must experience that awareness of awareness. But I hope by watching some of this that you are hearing beyond the words. And that's the unknown. Stuff in between. It's like reading between the lines. What's in the margin? What's in the implicit meaning? See, there's one great energy in the world, and it's love. And even love has a dark side. Protective love, like a mother protecting her child. She would kill anything in her path to save her child. That's a face of love. Fear is a face of love that you can't see, in the same way you can't see your own face except in the mirror, and that's not really your face. The eyes can't see themselves. So there's a side to it which is the same. So the unknown is fused together with what seems like logic. And so the other side of logic is faith. And you just know it's all together. It's all working. There's one great energy. Even the so-called dark side is one energy, which allows me to flow around it. Whatever seems like an obstacle, I start with an expression of the abstraction. And I'm always granted passage. Always granted passage. I'm not afraid to be put on the spot. I just spent 14 minutes with no script, hoping that you'd hear the abstraction, the energy behind it, which we call love. And love has depth. It starts with fear and it goes down to absolute unconditional. So superficial fear, protecting yourself like a mother protects a child, that's a face of love. And the faceless part of love is the unconditional, and it's a descent into the depth of love. One energy. And that depth of it is unknown, but it's knowable in an intimate, wordless way. I can go on forever. But the best way to understand the unknown is to sit quietly with your feelings and feel the feelings. That's what Fabian Gray says. I'm a fan of his. He says, meditation is a chance for us to feel our feelings. I love that. I love that. Most of us avoid our feelings. Once you feel them, some words will come out and you'll be able to translate them, release them, and express them, which is this allowance to continue forever. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed these insights about the unknown, which in some way is a way of saying I know it. And that's what faith is. Check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com. Thank you for watching.